great day, attractive thinker and visual encourager. Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Break. Give yourself a fighting chance. You deserve that. Give yourself a fighting chance. Bet on you. Trust in you again. Dr. Toni Hatton here, your identity coach and break the cycle specialist at theattractivethinker.guru. This is where we support new and aspiring entrepreneurs with the mental tools that you need for mental healing, mental strength, and mindset maintenance while you're creating your dreams, ideas, and desires. You're going to need that because you face roadblocks. And this is why we come to you every week with living a life beyond the break, be it a heartbreak or a break in a success. Welcome my co-host Tichet Bradshaw to another episode of Beyond the Break. Give yourself a fighting chance.
Happy Mindset Monday, everybody. We made it again to another week full of power, love, and joy that awaits us. We are thankful to be here and to minister to you. It is a great day to be alive.
It is a great day to be alive. I want you to think about that. Attractive thinker and visual encourager. I don't have to tell you, already have your attractive thinker notebooks handy because we're going to be dropping some gems along the way today that we know are going to really make a difference in your life. It's going to expedite your process. It's going to help you to break through and break free from those mental crows, that negative self-chatter that keeps popping up every time you step outside of your comfort zone to do this new thing. So today we're going to be talking about if it doesn't feel right, it ain't right. Now we know ain't is not proper English, but we're going to use that word today. If it doesn't feel right, attractive thinker, then it ain't right. I want you to understand, what are we talking about when we say if it doesn't feel right? How many times have you been in the middle of a decision? You had to make a decision about something, or you had to choose something. You had to choose this one versus that one, or you had to make a decision whether you're going to go in this direction or that direction. And sometimes you felt stuck. You didn't really know what decision to make because you didn't have the proper tools, the attractive thinker tools that we always talk about. You know, when it comes down to decision making, today we're going to show you how to tune into how you feel. Because our feelings get ignored so many times. They get overlooked so many times. They get pushed to the back burner so many times. And when our feelings aren't honored, we end up settling for something that does not make us feel alive. We end up settling for something that is just enough to get by, or it's just something until I can get what I really want. Or we settle for the thing that doesn't light our fire. It's not going to advance us forward, because you can move forward and you can take action, but if your heart isn't in it, and we did an episode, here on Beyond the Break about that. If you want to scroll through our YouTube channel and find that episode, if your heart isn't in it, if your heart isn't in it, you know how you act when your heart isn't in something. You're doing something and you're not feeling it. You're doing something and you really don't care whether you put your best foot forward or not, or you don't care if you're on time or not, or you're not really interested in what result you're supposed to get from it. You can get a result or you don't have to get a result. You're okay with it either way, because your heart isn't in it, because you don't feel anything. It's not moving you. There's no passion or drive or something that you can feel. It's not provoking you to anything. It's not making you feel alive. You don't feel alive. I can resonate with this so much, Tichet, because so many times down through the years, I found myself in situations, even in positions. People have nominated me for positions, and I didn't feel alive. I didn't feel as though there was a connection. I didn't feel like I could give my fullest potential. And you know that you're in something that you're really not connected to when your creative ideas aren't even flowing. You're clueless. You don't even have an idea. Your thoughts aren't connected, or it feels like work. When you're fully connected to something that your heart is in, it doesn't feel like a chore. It doesn't feel exhausting or draining. Tisha, talk to us about that. If your heart isn't in it, if you're not feeling it, if it's not lighting your fire, it's not something that we should be engaging in.
I agree with it. If it doesn't feel right, it ain't right. We have to pay full attention to why something doesn't feel right. right? Because sometimes we try to force ourselves into doing things for many reasons, because it's the family tradition, because, we're afraid, or, we're fearful that we can't get anything else. We have to pay attention to our spirit, right? And the reason why we want to pay attention to it is because our spirit is our guide. It is our GPS system that allows us to know whether we're on the right track or not. It is our love system that allows us to know when we're operating in love and when we are not. You said about making decisions, right? You're making a decision. Your whole life is based on, or a product of, your decisions through a series of yes and no's, right? When we say yes to things, when we say no to things, we are into having things into our life. You say yes, you allow it to come into your life, you're saying no to other stuff. I want to make clear that when we're saying yes and no to something, we want to pay attention to how we feel about things when we're saying yes. Because just because you can don't mean you should. I can do hair, but just because I can don't mean I should, because the passion and the desire to do hair is not there for me. Yes, I am good at it, but just because I'm good at it does not mean I have to do it. And sometimes we mix up gift with talent. Sometimes we mixed up gift with something we learned. Our gifts get exposed to us through our passions. Some of my gifts have been there my entire life and I didn't know. Some of the things have been there. Even if I'm depressed, I can encourage. Even though, I was not mostly a girly girl, I was around, a lot of men. I wanted to do tools. I always had the idea of decoration. I didn't know that doing DIYs was something that could actually be a gift, where I have the gift of making an experience better, or making something better, or putting my hands to work. Sometimes we don't know what our gifts and our purpose are. But as attractive thinkers and visionaries, we're always on a journey to discover. We're always discovering who we are and what we are. So I believe we have to pay attention to our spirit, so that we know that just because we can doesn't mean we should. We have to pay attention to the love that we so-called give out, right? Because some of the things we're doing is not really in love. Some of the things we're doing, when you are operating in love, it should not devalue you. It should not take away from your spirit or from your well-being. When you're operating in love, it should exhilarate you. It should increase your vibration. It should make you feel happy and whole to operate in love. But some people, when we do love, we can get in the way. We can get in the way by trying to become everybody's superhero. And there's some people that don't want to be saved. So do you say yes to people who don't want to be saved while saying no to having the availability to be around people who want to be helped? You know what I mean? So sometimes we're saying yes when we should be saying no. And we have to pay attention to what our spirit is saying concerning that. Discernment is everything, because you can discern a situation before you're in a situation if you're strong enough. You can discern people before the interaction from across the room. You can discern people. People can say many things out of their mouth, but when you discern the spirit, you can see what their real intentions are, and that real intentions is going to show. We just can't make excuses for why. Make excuses for what they're doing. We say, oh, they just had a bad day. Well, that bad day exposed what they really feel. Because even in a bad day, would I ever devalue somebody I value every day?
Isn't that something? Please say that again. Say that again.
I would never devalue somebody that I value every day just because I had a bad day.
Wow, that's
I had a bad day. Yes, and people, they say a drunk man speak a sober man mind, or this person had a rough day and this, that, and the other. It takes a lot of energy to pull out negativity. To put out negativity, it takes a lot of energy. But in pulling out that negativity, you have to understand that those words that people are saying has an intent. So if people are saying things to you and they are devaluing you, you have to look at the intention, because I'm not going to sit there and throw my good crystals just because I had a bad day at work or somebody said something to me or something didn't happen or the bill. I'm not going to destroy my good crystals. I'm not going to go up there. We'll looking for something else to throw before we throw our good crystals. You know, but we have to understand that when we pay attention to what's surrounding us, when we pay attention to what's in us, when we pay attention to who we are and what we are, all of that adds up to something, right? When you are love and you understand that you are love and you know that you are love, then you will accept love. When you are love, anything that is not love is going to stand out to you. That's why it's important for us to love ourselves and to operate out of love. Because when we feel like it's not right, 9 times out of 10, it's not. It's not right. If it doesn't feel right, it ain't right. Back to you, Dr. Toni.
That's so true, Tichet. If it doesn't feel right, attractive thinkers, I want you to write that down in your attractive thinker notebook. If it doesn't feel right, it ain't right. Now, what we're talking about today is this. You're going to learn to honor more how you feel. You're going to learn that there's, like Tichet said, there's an internal GPS and that we're supposed to use. And I was thinking while you were talking, Tichet, that the times where as we were faced with decisions and choices that we had to make, and we didn't make the choice or the decision based on what our feelings were saying or our internal GPS or our discernment, there was a reason for that. And that reason could have been a number of things. It could be an insecurity, not trusting yourself. If you don't trust yourself, you're not going to trust that what you feel is real. You're not going to trust that what you feel is right. If you don't trust yourself, you're not going to honor. You don't think that how you feel matters. So you're not going to honor how you feel. It could be the reason of not honoring how you feel or making a decision that's in alignment with your feelings. It could be that you're not used to mattering. You're not used to being considered in decisions. You're not used to being supported or someone preferring you. All of this comes into play when it comes down to making choices and decisions based on how you feel. And when we say based on how you feel, what we're saying is, what choice or decision would you have made? Which one makes you happy? Which one works for you? Which one is the better choice? Which one adds value to your life? Which one is the advantage for you, not for others? Of course, we want to create win-win situations, but we have to step out of the season and the energy of making choices and decisions that benefit others and not considering whether we're being benefited as well. It's not okay to participate in a decision or a choice whereas you aren't winning, whereas it doesn't put a smile on your face, whereas you're not happy with it. For example, I've had, as an entrepreneur and a coach, I've had to make some really big, risky decisions. And I couldn't afford to make the decision and settle. I couldn't afford to say, well, I'm overwhelmed, or I don't, it's just too much coming at me at one time. Let me just go ahead and make this decision and get this over with. We do that a lot. We make decisions just to get it over with. And then we reap the consequences after the dust settles, after all the anxiety and the emotion and the stress of making the decision. After all of that dust settles, then you got to sit with the decision that you made in a tenseful situation, a decision that you made hastily, a decision that you made when you were tired. I heard it said years ago, and I always started I'm teaching this to my children. HALT, never make a decision when you're too hungry, too angry, too lonely, or too tired, because you end up making a decision that you're settling for versus what you really want. How many times have our children come to us and repeatedly coming to us with the same thing. Mom, can you do such and such? Or mom, when are you going to do such and such? Mom, do you remember that I asked you to do such and such? Mom, are you going to do it now? After a while, you say, you know what? Just go ahead and take it. Or just go ahead and do it. The keys are in my purse. Just go. And you know good and well, you really didn't. If you had a clear head, you wouldn't have made that decision. You know, if you weren't too tired or stressed or distracted, you wouldn't have made that decision. So we have to be careful and be mindful of the decisions that we're making sure our heart and our feelings are connected to. Is this what we really want? Because as an entrepreneur, we can make decisions that will cause us to miss out on an opportunity. We're making low level decisions where we're meant for high level experiences. You know, we're making decisions that cause us to settle and not get what we want. And when you settle and don't get what you want, you're getting what you don't want. So how can you create an abundant life when you're making decisions that bring lack into your life? How can you experience abundance when the decision that you made wasn't abundant? It didn't have you in mind. How many times have you made choices and decisions and you weren't even on the table? You weren't even considered. So if it doesn't feel right, then I want you to think about this. The very next decision that you're presented with, or opportunity or choice that you have to make, take a minute, just a second, and tune in, get in touch with your feelings, because your feelings are saying something. It's impossible for you to encounter anything in this life and your feelings don't say something. How you feel, your nervous system, you can feel your stomach, or your heart flutters, or your stomach turns. I remember Cicely Tyson said that she was a dynamic actress, and when she was given a script, she said, whenever I'm given a script for a particular role that I'm supposed to take, she said, when I read the script, she said, if my heart flutters, then I know it's a role that I must take. She said, but if my stomach turns, I know I can't do it. She was in tune with her feelings. If it didn't feel right, she knew it wasn't right. This is what we see. This might be new to you, attractive thinker and visual encourager. This method of connection, this new way of making decisions. See, this is a powerful tool that we've been given. It's a gift. And you may have overlooked it for years, but now it's coming back before you. It's not something that we're giving you. You already have it. And it's time to activate that. It's time to honor how you feel, because how you feel matters. Your feelings are giving you directions and instructions. So now you have to just take a few minutes, 10 seconds or whatever, and just tune into that. Say, how do I feel about this decision and this choice? If you're an entrepreneur, you have to ask yourself, how do I feel about pricing my product and service, this price right here? How does that price feel with me? How does it feel on the inside? Does it make me happy? Does it make me feel valued? Is it worth the time and effort and energy that I put into creating this product and service? You'll know by how you feel. And if you don't feel happy about the price, if it's not rewarding to you, if it's not bringing value to you and commensurate with the value that you're giving to your clients and customers, then you know it's not the right price. Because if it doesn't feel right, it ain't right. Back to you, Tichet.
We have to talk about why we settle for stuff, right? Because there's a reason to why a foundation to why we settle for things, right? Because we feel like we have to. For me, I feel like a lot of the reason is fear. We accept certain things because we're fearful that we won't have nothing. So we rather take something just to have it. So for instance, some people might be in a relationship just for the sake of being in a relationship, when they just accept whoever will say yes, they just accept when their real king or queen is out there waiting for them. Sometimes we settle when it comes to homes. I just recently moved and I had decisions to make. And some things for me are non-negotiable. And for me, that is quality. I'm not willing to negotiate quality, right? So I'm willing to have quality different things or nothing at all. where I used to have a life where I would settle for something with the intent of getting something better later, only to be years and years and years into that decision. Like you said, you got to sit in that decision. And then you know how many years we waste settling for things because we're afraid that the real thing won't come. We're afraid that we're settling for a job that makes us miserable because we're afraid we won't get another job. Well, if you don't get another job, then perhaps a business is calling you. Perhaps there's something else calling you. Are you willing to risk it all? Or are you willing to settle and just make do with what you have? When we were putting furniture in here, I didn't want to settle. I would rather not have no chairs in my living room and settle for something that was, it's okay. It could be brand new. It could be whatever, but it don't quite speak to me. I would rather not have no chairs. I would rather sit somewhere else than to not look in my living room and feel like I'm blessed to be there. So what happened with this move is I had to keep going, and I literally risked it all. I risked being homeless. I was 3 days from being homeless till I found the home that had my name on it. And I knew it was home the minute I saw it. But if I would have said yes to the other places, and some of the other places were really nice, Dr. Toni, but it just didn't, just something wasn't right. Some of it had new countertops and new this and new that. And I was just like, it's just, the light was off. And it wasn't that the physical light was off, the spiritual light was off. It didn't have my spirit attached to it. And so I had to say no. I mean, for some people, it looks like, something most people would die to have, but I was like, no. And I kept going until the spirit in me rose up when I saw this one. And I said, this is home. I didn't say, oh, I found a home. I said, I found home. See, I was going on a journey looking for a home. And I come across all of these houses that I could have potentially moved into, but I wanted a home, not a house. You can get a house anywhere. I wanted a home. You want a true love, not just a relationship. You understand what I'm saying? And so you got to be willing to risk it all for what you have, but you got to know the value in you to understand that what you're desiring and what's set for you is going to be for you. That we can't always look at our life and think that we just going to be flat out in the street. And this is in every situation. You think, oh, if I don't work this job, I'm gonna be out in the street. If I don't live in this house, I'm gonna be out in the street. If I don't date him, I'm gonna be out in the street. You know what I mean? Like how you do anything is how you do everything. We can't think that, because we have to know our value and our worth, and that the universe answers to that. The universe will give us exactly what we are putting out, exactly our vibration. So if you have been praying for a home, you have to understand that you're worthy of that home. You have to become or understand that you are worthy of that something that you're praying for. You know what I'm saying? Because some of us, we don't, the answer knocks on the door, but we won't open the door. Some of us don't even know that the prayers have already been answered because we're not looking, because we're afraid that it wasn't answered. There's just as much answered prayer knocking at our door than disappointments. You know what I mean? Because it's not always disappointments that's knocking at our door. Our whole life is filled with disappointment. It don't have to. We're here to tell you, you have a decision to make. You can make a different choice. You can go out here and live your best life. It is your choice and your right to live your best life. It is your choice and your right to have quality over quantity, quality of friends, quality time, quality living, quality eating, quality thinking. Because with quality thinking, we talk about that mental breakfast, lunch, and dinner all the time. That's quality thinking. That quality thinking ignites you. That quality thinking, it enforces creativity. That quality thinking allows you to speak to yourself affirmations, things of power into your life. And when you start saying it more and more, you become it. When you start saying more and more, I am powerful, I'm worthy, I'm this, I deserve it. When you start saying all those things, you become it every time. Just the way when people start saying negative stuff and you ain't you're not offering it any contrast, you feel like they called me a loser, so I'm a loser because you didn't have anything that contradict what they said. Same thing with power. You start speaking more and more power into yourself and then more and more, right? You become that power. After a while, you believe it. Yeah. And you walk in it. And so as a person of power, you make different decisions. You don't make the decision to settle. You're not making a decision out of fear. When you understand your power, there's just some things you're not going to do. I was saying earlier that you don't know who don't love you until you know until you learn to love you. Once you learn to love you, you see who don't, right? When you start loving yourself, let me tell you something. When you really start getting to know yourself, loving yourself, honoring yourself, you're going to say no to good and say yes to great. Because you know you're worthy of great. Why would we settle for less and we don't even like that and we trying to sit here and make do? Marie Kondo, she's an organization specialist, right? She said to go through all of your clothes and hold them up to your chest. If you feel nothing, get rid of it. I don't care if it fit. I don't care if it still have the tag on it. I don't care what happened. If you feel nothing,
my God,
get rid of it. How we do anything is how we do everything. So if you're doing anything and you don't feel nothing, no, do something else. You can make a different decision. Don't let nobody guilt you into accepting less than what you deserve. Don't let nobody guilt you into have to settling for something just for the sake of having. And some of us will even do that in food. We go, well, I'll just eat this, even though it's not good for me. I might have high blood pressure, but this is all I can eat. So I'm just gonna go somewhere else and eat. Eat with intention.
My God.
You have an intention of being healthy. Eat with that intention. And it got to the point where if I couldn't eat something that was healthy, I just wouldn't eat. I'd be fasting. I'd be fasting because I said, if I'm not I had the intention that I wanted my mind to be clear and I wanted my spirit to elevate. I'm not putting things in my body that take me off of my journey. I'm not putting anything in my body that's going to make me sick. Yeah. I'm not putting things in my body that just because it's cheaper. Yes. So once I had that intent, I made sure that was non-negotiable. That eating something that take down my spirit or take down my body is non-negotiable. So we have to do the same thing everywhere else. If you have a relationship with anybody, I don't care if it's friend, if it's business, if it's relationship. I don't care what relationship it is. If you are in that relationship and it takes down your spirit and it devalues you and it causes you to have to choose between value and devalue, let it go. You know why? Because it's in the way. We should not have to tell people how to treat us. We should not have to teach people what they need to do. They should be able to see it and jump to it because they understand my value. You see, a lot of these people, they can do it for their cars, they can do it for crystals, they can do it for their home, anything else. They will protect it with all their heart. They can do it for their wallets. They protect it with all their heart, put insurance on it and everything. But then when it comes to you, you got to tell them, I just wish you would. And no, let's stop doing that. That's wasting time. If nobody loves me, I love me. My. And once I start loving me, I start seeing who don't love me and I move on. Wow. Why? Because I'm wasting time. My journey is powerful and great, but my time, you got to understand, my time is quality. And so with quality, I refuse to waste it. So if I'm going to interact with somebody who could care less about me, I'd rather sit home and watch TV. I'd rather sit home and look at paint dry than to sit there and be in a conversation with somebody who's going to devalue me, or somebody who's going to sit there and take down my spirit. And now I can't even think. And now I got to get myself together.
Yes.
I had to stop doing that. And you know, it's funny because it's easy to make a life doing that because that person's there. But I'd rather be by myself. I'd rather be okay by myself than miserable with somebody else. You know how they say I can do bad by myself, I can go out here and do bad by myself. So why would I sit here and do bad with you? I put up with that for many, many years. But once I started loving myself, there was some things that became non-negotiable, and that was quality. And with quality, I say if it doesn't feel right, it ain't right. Back to you, Dr. Toni.
It's so true. Attractive thinkers, I trust that you really understood what Tichet was saying. If it doesn't feel right, it ain't right. Tichet, you said so many incredible things that I don't want us to just, gloss over and move on beyond that, because something like if it doesn't speak to you, the things that you encounter throughout the day, they have a voice. They're speaking to you. That's why you can feel a certain way when you encounter them. So if it's not speaking to you, for example, would you prefer the green one or the blue one? That's your decision. Don't settle for the blue one if you really want the green one. Don't settle for the green one if you really want the blue one. Which one do you want? And see, Tichet, it goes again back to you knowing who you are. And like you said, loving you. I love myself enough to choose the orange one versus the purple one, because I resonate more with orange than I do with purple. I'm not going to choose the purple one because that's the only one they have left, and they have 2 or 3 orange ones left, or vice versa. I'm going to choose the one that I want. Now, see, Tichet, this can really go deep because, for example, me, I was raised, in religion and tradition, and I was raised to always prefer others. I was raised to always put them first, or, always this self-sacrificing thing that was going on in order to be in alignment with God. So they always taught, they didn't teach us that we mattered. It was always about putting others first, putting yourself last, or giving, versus receiving. So when it comes down to something that I wanted, it was always, well, it's okay. Or you can have it, sure. If that's what you want, which one do you want? It was never, which one do I want? It was always, the first thought was, which one do you want? What would you like to have? And it spread. How we do one thing, we said that all the time. We say it all the time, and you've heard it said, how you do one thing is how you do everything. It just doesn't hold true for that one thing that you're doing. It spreads like a wildfire throughout your entire life. You handle money that way. You handle decisions in your business that way. You handle your family that way, or opportunities, or in the grocery store, something as small as, what do you want? Do you want the salmon, or do you want the ground turkey? If you really like salmon, but you're thinking about the people you're preparing the meal for, and they like ground turkey, if you don't value you, then you're going to choose the ground turkey over the salmon. How many times and that might be a small decision, but think about how many areas in our lives that plays out. We end up doing that. But like we said today, if it doesn't speak to you, if it doesn't feel right, does this feel right? This next decision that you have to make in your life, does it feel right? Does it feel like something that will benefit you? Does it feel like it's going to support you in getting to where you want to be, or creating what you want to experience? There's an experience that you want to have. And the question is, are you making a decision that supports that experience? Or will your decision deny you of what you really want to experience in your life? You have to think about that and see, Tichet, the next step to that is, now you got to develop the courage to say yes to yourself. Now you have to develop the courage to say yes when you're used to saying no. It's more comfortable to say no, because you can say no real quick and walk away and be okay with it, because that's what you're used to. But to say yes means you have to stand up to that resistance that you're feeling. You have to step into your value and your power as a king or a queen. You know, to say yes, you're also saying that how I feel matters. It takes courage to say how I feel matters if you're not used to preferring yourself or being around others who prefer you and see your value and your worth. So there's some steps and some roots that accompany this thing about you honoring how you feel, but you can do it. You deserve it and you're worth it. You can do it. And guess what? It's necessary if you want to create your dreams, your ideas, and your desires. You're going to have to say yes to you and no to everything else. You're going to have to say yes to the thing that brings value into your life. Yes to the thing that puts a smile on your face because you deserve to smile. You know, that settling thing, Tichet, it has to be a thing of the past because it doesn't serve nobody. It doesn't serve any of us when you settle. Because when you settle, you end up creating a life of things you don't even love, a life of things that don't sing to you, don't speak to you, don't make you feel alive. They don't get a rise out of you. They don't spark joy. Why purchase a chair? Take your money and purchase a chair that you don't even love. And every time you walk past it, oh, it's just a chair. Instead of purchasing the one that you love, the bright colored, shiny, uniquely designed one. And every time when you go upstairs and you ready to turn the lights off for the night, you just have to turn around and look at it. Or when you wake up in the morning, you can't just walk past it, you have to sit in it. That one there, that's the one that makes you feel alive. And when you create a life full of that, everything you experience, everything you touch, everything you walk past, it makes you feel alive. See, a lot of times, Tichet, when that depression hits and people's energy and moods are low, it doesn't have anything to do with something that's wrong with them. It has something to do with what they've surrounded themselves with. Are the things around you strong enough to resonate with you and make you feel alive, spark joy? Are they strong enough? Is it your favorite color? Is it your favorite style? Is it what you want to listen to? The music that you're listening to, is it what others want to listen to? Is it what you want to listen to? You know, does it smell the way you like for things to smell? Like Tichet said, eating with intention. That meal, is that what you want to eat? Think about that. So you have to do an assessment of all of these areas. Tichet also talked about the clothes in your closet. When you get up and get dressed, how do your clothes make you feel when you put it on? How do you feel? And I found myself doing that, Tichet, so many times. Like, there were clothes in my closet, like you said, they had the tag still on them, but I didn't wear them when I purchased them, so I outgrew them. And now it's time to get rid of them because they don't spark joy, but the price tag is on it. So you're like, well, and you know what we do? We settle, we say, I could change the buttons on it, or I could, I'm to the point, we're very creative, to share. We talk about this all the time. I'm to the point where I say, I can dye it, the color that I want it to be. Who wants to go through all of that? No, give the shirt to someone who really who sees value and it can benefit from it, and go pick out one that sparks joy. It's easier. Go pick out one that when you put it on, even before you put it on, when you're in the closet and you're scrolling through your clothes, it stands out to you. And you remember, you say, oh, I like how I look in that. See, that's half the battle. We wouldn't have to worry about the emotions dropping so low all of the time if we surround ourselves with things that bring us joy and make us feel alive, things that speak to us, things that we are in alignment with. When you look in, we say when we look out into the world, we're seeing a reflection of ourselves. When you look into your closet with your clothes and your shoes, you should see a reflection of you in every pair. In every pair of shoes, you say, I like the way I look in that's me right there. All throughout your closet, the clothes, the hats, the belt, even down to the belt, the necktie, the handkerchief, the cufflinks. Do they reflect you? Do you see yourself in those things? It's the same thing. If you're having a hard time, say, well, what do you mean I see myself? When you look in the mirror, would you like to see somebody else or you? That's what we mean when we say a reflection. When you look in the mirror, how would it feel to look in the mirror and not see you? But that's what we do when we make decisions that we're settling for. We're making decisions that reflect something else and not ourselves. Dr. Toni Hatton here. We trust that you have received something from this powerful episode of Beyond the Break today. If it doesn't feel right, it ain't right. And we're not going to try and make it right. It has to feel right in order to be right. Your identity coach and get to the root specialist at theattractivethinker.guru. You know, I just released my latest book just for you, Attractive Thinker. Go to our website, theattractivethinker.guru, and get your copy today. It is not a book, it is a resource. It is a reference, a guide, a timeless treasure that you'll refer to back and forth all throughout your journey, your entrepreneurial journey. It shows you how to think a different thought, how to do away with those coping mechanisms, how to value yourself, like Tichet said, so that you can feel what it is that is the right decision for you. Tichet, tell our audience how they can get in touch with you, the visual encourager, and give us any lasting comments on this topic if something else comes to your mind and resonates with you.
Absolutely. One of the things I wanted to say to Dr. Toni is when we do something, when we wear something, you was talking about the clothes, when we wear something, if it does not make us feel confident, don't wear it again. Don't let it be an option. So when you do something, and let's say you said yes to something that you should have said no, and you didn't see it before, but you see it now and you feel uncomfortable, and you feel like your confidence level went down, then that indication too that we have to begin to let that go. So with the clothing, if I wore something and I didn't feel comfortable, I made sure to not make that an option again, because I didn't like how I felt while I was in it. You can tell when you feel something when you in it, because your shoulders is up, you're sitting straight up, your posture is different, you walking in power. We are building a life of power day after day, decision after decision. So we want to make sure that we build a life that is strictly for us, where we can benefit from people being our powerful selves. You can find me on my website at www.visualencouragement.com. We provide mental support for movers and shakers, trailblazers, pathfinders, and groundbreakers, visionaries who desire to move mountains but need help lifting heaviness so that you can create a new vision for yourself. Go to my contact us page, put in your information. Let us know how we can uplift you, enlighten you, and encourage you so that you can live a life of fulfillment beyond the break. Again, www.visualencouragement.com. See you soon.
Awesome. Attractive thinkers and visual encouragers. You always hear us say our life's work, that's to make your life better. Remember, it is not what you're going through, it's how you're doing it. Think attractively. We'll see you soon.